Hello, welcome to Kate's Egg. Today I'm here in Ontario, Canada with Bill French of Lennox Farms, the same farm that I got to see Brussel Sprout harvest at, so this is just incredible. Thank you. And now you're going to be showing me rhubarb harvest. Yep,
we've been growing rhubarb for 4 generations in my family. I've been doing it for 45 years. So my son's been with us now for almost 20 years, I guess, 15 years anyway. So the tradition's continuing.
That's
the next
amazing.
generation. And we grow rhubarb in the dark here, which are 2 or 3 year old plants, so that we've grown in the field of a variety that came from England called Victoria. And we have some variety, the other buildings are actually Sutton, so we have 2 varieties we use, but this first building we use Victoria because it grows faster in the cold weather. So, and these varieties we don't, well, the Victoria especially, we don't pick in the summertime. It's too green, has huge leaves the size of an elephant's ear. and as you can see in the dark here, there's almost no leaf at all because there's no sunlight to make it grow. It's actually called forced rhubarb. You're taking the energy of the plant that we've put into the plant in the last 2 seasons of the field, and forced rhubarb in the dark.
Well, I'm very excited for the tour.
Trying to pick everything average around 18 to 24 inches. So anything less than 18 inches, we leave for next Wednesday. Basically, if it's longer than up above my elbow, I'll pick it. But anything a little shorter, I leave it for next week. So we're picking on the average every 4 to 5 days. It grows at least an inch a day. If they got a twist on them like that one's twisted, that's considered a number 2 grade. Usually I get.
And do you put the soil in here?
Well, it came in with the roots. These are 3 year old plants. They started out as a root about the size of my fist with 1 eye on them. And we plant them in the field. We grow them for 2 summers, or in this case 3 summers, because we missed 1 year with COVID planting, unfortunately. And then by the time they're 3 years old, they'll have about 6 or 7 eyes on them. They'll be almost a foot across.
Do they keep reproducing?
In this field? Yeah, they keep coming up every year in the field. The field, we just keep feeding them fertilizer and making sure they got water. Hopefully they get enough rain on them.
Yes.
And then try and build up the strength of the plant. So this variety here, we don't pick it at all in the field because we want to build strength into the root. When this crop is finished, the roots are actually soft. It's just like a potato that you leave under the sink.
Oh wow!
And it grows a sprout, and the potato gets soft. It's the same idea. All the new buildings have computerized fans, and they're nothing but a grief. Like, they're always broken. And this one here is the oldest one that's 25 years old. It's all manual controls. It never gives trouble. Now, the reason the fan's running is to keep the air moving, because you start getting these side shoots like turning black, and you don't want that black to spread through the whole crop. This is soft. You can feel that with your fingers.
Yes, that is soft.
It's like a sucker shoot on the side of the plant.
So that wouldn't be something it's
not marketable. It's garbage. So that's why you see little piles all the way down, because I'm picking the garbage out and tossing it in piles. Yeah, the idea is you have to water every week, but we have to keep the leaves dry, or else we get mildew in them, and if you get black through all the leaves, then you pretty well lost the crop, right? So that's why we keep the fans running all the time.
What time of year do the rhubarb come in here?
We dig all the roots in the fall and late October. So the roots all come in October. We leave the doors open on the building until Christmas time and let it all freeze.
Oh, okay.
So we leave the building cold. Well, we close up all the buildings when the weather starts getting bad in December. Sometimes we leave the fan on to bring cold air in. This building here, we started after Christmas. So between Christmas and New Year's, we turn the heat on, set it for 10 degrees Celsius. About 3 or 4 days later, once it's all thawed out, we'll bring a hose with a spray nozzle. We wash the top of every plant. So it's a time-consuming job. It takes a whole day to do the building, which isn't bad. But,
very labor-intensive.
But it's boring. You're standing there with a hose, washing every plant off with a pressure nozzle on the end of the hose, right? So it has to be clean for when the rhubarb grows, or else you have dirt all over the rhubarb. Of course, it gets the dirt down around the side of the roots where the little hair roots come from, and then so the plant can suck up the moisture again, because the rhubarb has a lot of water in it, so it has to be watered every week.
This is just amazing. I've never seen rhubarb growing before.
Yeah, it's different than out in the field, completely different.
Well, I've seen it in the garden, but not in this setting.
Yeah, and the roots are all packed in close together, obviously, to get a higher population in the building, to get production. So. And
once you pick the rhubarb, will it come back again?
Well,
for a second picking this year?
Oh, it produces about 7 sticks off each eye. So there's an eye here, there's a stick coming, and there'll be another one down there, and there's this one. There's probably been one picked already off this side. You can see a little bit there. One's been picked already. So each eye will produce about 7 sticks. So it'll pick for 7 or 8 weeks.
Oh wow!
So 7 or 8 pickings. We pick about every 5 days. So it'll pick for 6 weeks, say.
And this is their root system?
Yeah, that's the root system. And you can see the little white hair roots on it growing, trying to pick up the water, right? As we want in the water.
Oh, very
So
interesting.
it's trying to grow, of course, but it's in the dark.
So how long would it take one of these to come up?
Well, after we turn the heat on, about a week, they'll start swelling up, and in 2 weeks you'll see an eye like this. And it takes about 4 to 5 weeks before the first sticks are ready to pick. The next building's only 3 inches high. It's coming along, but it'll come faster because as we get closer to spring, it's had its full dormant period, so it wants to grow. Whereas the first ones that came in, they were still sleeping, right? They don't really want to wake up, so you got to turn the heat on and encourage them for a while. But the ones in the next buildings, they're gonna take off fast, so they'll take 4 weeks or less before they're ready to pick. This one's about 6 weeks.
And what is the process of harvesting them?
Well, it's all hand harvest, so you basically 1 stick at a time. You put your finger down. If you use the light. You need to put your finger down in the inside of the stalk to the bottom, and give it a little twist, just like picking an apple. And you kind of hear it. You kind of hear it break off. If you pull on it, it won't come, right? It's stuck. It's fastened really good to the plant. So you have to twist them off. I'll show you this one. So you get your finger there, you hear it break, and you give it a twist like that, and then off it comes. So it's labor intensive because you're picking one at a time.
Yes.
But
Put your finger down and
finger
twist.
down and point your dead finger to the bottom, and so it kind of breaks it a bit. You'll hear it kind of break free and turn at the same time. There we go.
Oh, like that.
And the problem is, if you pull on it, you end up breaking this whole eye off, and then and then you lose. Well, you're good. That's what you want.
Okay.
That's just garbage. See, the problem is if they're not picking properly and they go and pull on it, it'll break the whole eye off, and then you lose 6 more sticks for the next few weeks, right? So,
Oh, that would be very bad. So these two are both.
Oh yeah.
Oh, this one's a little bit bigger. Did that?
Yeah, once you get onto it, like I've done this for 45 years, so.
And so you make sure it's longer than your arm?
Yeah, I just up as long as above my elbow is the right length, so. And it's probably no good. That's a sucker plant. So I'll show you how soft it is. See, if you're not wearing gloves, you can mark it really easy.
Oh yeah.
Because it's really tender.
So you have to be very gentle with
So you
it.
have to be gentle with it. You hold it cradled in your arm, and
then you discard those there.
yeah, that's why I wear gloves, because otherwise your fingernails might touch the stalk and mark it, right?
And then the rhubarb come over here.
Yeah, then we bring it in these boxes or on the table.
Do you sort the rhubarb into different boxes depending on their size?
Yeah, this is a #1 grade. That's #1 grade.
So that's the top quality.
Yeah, and this is #2 grade. So #2 grade is thinner. It doesn't have to be as long, or it has a twist in it. Find one on the table. I don't see one at the moment, but
Do you just have 2 grades?
yeah. Well, we have anything that's marked we throw up there. As we used to consider it garbage, but we cut it up. We cut it up and sell them by the pound to people. So you got people are looking for a lot of cheaper stuff, so they'll take that. So it'll have a
So you have a use for all of the rhubarb,
yeah.
and none of it goes to waste.
So it'll have a scar on it like that. See where it grew? It cracked.
Yes.
So we just take a knife and trim that off and cut it up and then sell it by the pound in a bag.
What percentage of your rhubarb crop would you say is grade 1? Or does it vary?
It varies, but we usually get about 85% #1s and about 15% #2s, or say 14% #2s, 1% garbage, or 1% call-outs.
Oh, that's really great then.
Then it's of course all the garbage on the ground in there, but we don't consider that.
Yeah.
It's just part of doing business, right?
Would this be the traditional way of growing rhubarb for
Yeah, pretty well.
sale?
Pretty well. It started in France in the 1700s, and they grew it in caves.
Really?
They used candlelight to work because it didn't have electricity. Rhubarb never really got popular until then because there was no sugar. But once the sugar trade started from the Caribbean, they started bringing sugar back to Europe from the Caribbean, and then people started experimenting with different recipes and tried rhubarb, and of course it started getting popular because found out it was quite edible when it had sugar added to it, so people didn't like it so much when it was bitter.
That's amazing. And you sell all of the rhubarb in your
Oh, it all goes
store?
No, it goes to Toronto, to the Ontario Food Terminal.
Oh, okay.
So probably 95% goes to the Ontario Food Terminal, about 5% maybe gets sold here. We have 2 or 3 people pick up, and we have a few retail sales at our stores. So.
Do you ever sell to restaurants?
We do. We had someone come in last week who bought 10 cases. They cut it up and put it in their freezer and use it for their recipes.
That's amazing. And this is so fresh as well.
And we sell the number 2s. These number 2s go to a company called 100 Kilometer Foods, and they pick up and deliver to restaurants. So they take usually 15 or 18 boxes every week. But it usually pretty well everything we got.
And how long does Rhubarb Harvest usually last?
We usually start around Valentine's Day, around the middle of February. And each building will last for 6 weeks. And so when this building started picking, we turn the heat on in the second building. And it's going to start picking by the 1st of April. And then we turn the heat on 1st of April in the third building. And it comes really fast. It'll start picking by the 3rd week in April. It comes in 3.5 weeks or something.
Wow.
And then it only picks for 3 weeks. It just all comes at once. So we pick the last building until about the 16th or 18th of May. And then we have rhubarb in the field after that. So it gives us rhubarb from February till May, and right into their outdoor crop.
And the leaves are very small, so the more sunlight a rhubarb plant has, the bigger the leaves will get.
It has chlorophyll, and the leaves get bigger, and the stalks get greener. And in the building there's no sunlight,
so the goal is to have the lights off as much as possible.
Yeah, the old growers, obviously in the 1700s, they used to pick by candlelight. In England, they pick by candlelight.
Without having the larger leaves, do you notice you get a bigger rhubarb crop?
No, we actually get less.
Oh.
We get less than in the field. This one we turned the heat on about 2.5 weeks ago.
This will be the next rhubarb crop you harvest.
Yeah, we'll be harvesting this, and we might be a little bit ready in 10 days. 2 weeks anyway.
And how long have these been growing for?
But the heat was turned on in here middle of February, or late February, I guess. So it's been on for about 3 weeks.
And what do you do with the rhubarb once you're done harvesting them?
Just discard the roots, take it back out the field they came from, and run the disc through them with the tractor and chew them all up.
So this will be your last rhubarb harvest crop?
Yeah, this is the one that we pick in today. So we're going to turn the heat on next week, and it wants to grow. You see some of the eyes are swelling up already.
Oh, it is. That's amazing.
We'll have to get that door dug out. We left the door open to keep it cool in here.
And what temperature do you turn?
Well, when we run the heat, it's running at 10 degrees Celsius, 10 or 11.
And then you have onions?
Onions and potatoes left for last. We've been selling them down in the market there. One of the big ones we got are these huckleberry golds, so we're going to have to plant them, cut them up, plant them for seed.
I'm now here with Diane French, and I absolutely love rhubarb pie and rhubarb in baking. So could you explain how forced rhubarb is a little bit different?
Okay. Well, with the forced rhubarb, I use half the sugar that I would with the field rhubarb. And cooking time is not as long as the outdoor rhubarb. And obviously the color is a lot nicer, I find, than the outdoor rhubarb when you're baking with it. This time of year I bake a lot of muffins with it. And it's known as a spring tonic for a reason, so if you have issues, rhubarb is good to eat.
That's very cool.
Yeah.
What are some of your favorite goods to bake with rhubarb?
Well, I make, it's a rhubarb square. It's like date squares, only you have the rhubarb in the middle.
That sounds delicious.
I do a lot of squares, rhubarb crisps, rhubarb strawberry crisps, pies, muffins.
Pies are fantastic.
They are. Yeah, I try not to bake as much because we don't need it, but of course when the rhubarb's in season, it's good when you bake with it. So.
Well, it was so nice meeting you. Thank you so much.
It was nice to meet you. Thank you.
Growing forced rhubarb started in the 1700s in France, and they started growing it in caves using candlelight to see to pick it. And it really got popular by the 1800s when the flow of sugar was quite available from the Caribbean. Before that time, without sugar, rhubarb wasn't really consumed. And of course, it became quite a craze through most of Europe, and there's a lot growing in England, and there still is. There's an area called the Rhubarb Triangle in Wakefield, around Wakefield, England, that still grows quite a bit of rhubarb, and it's quite popular in the Netherlands and France.
Wow, that's very interesting.
And then as growers, people came to Canada, like my great-grandfather, being English, they started growing rhubarb here in Canada. In my grandfather's time in the 1920s up until the 40s, there was 43 growers growing rhubarb here in Ontario, but it's now dwindled down to just us. We're the only grower left still forcing rhubarb, and we've been doing it for 5 generations now. So
A true family operation.
yeah, that's right. So there's a little history on where rhubarb came from for forcing in the wintertime.
That's very cool. Thank you so much for watching today's video. Make sure to like and subscribe, and I hope you learned a little bit more about how your rhubarb gets to your table. And a huge thank you to Lennox Farms for the wonderful opportunity to tour your awesome operation. And where can people find you or learn more about your farm?
Okay, we do have a website that you can go on. It's lennoxfarms.ca, and we do have a self-serve farm market there.
That's amazing. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
And thank you so much for watching. Bye.
Bye.